connecting to audio? Okay, well, they're coming in. All right.
Welcome, everyone.
Yes. All right. Everybody's coming in. Hello, everybody. Hey, this is Andres Martinez. Remember me? Welcome to Destination Space. Hey, I'm a NASA engineer. And the NASA center where I work, it's at NASA Ames Research Center. This NASA Ames Research Center is only about 10 minutes away from your school. We're in your neighborhood. Okay, so let's talk about Destination Space. Remember that we started these incredible talks in February and we took you to Mars. And then in March, we took you to the moon through all these incredible engineers and scientists. This month, we're talking about our planet Earth because we're celebrating our only home, planet Earth. So scientists, engineers, and many professionals from NASA, Facebook, Intel, Roku, Planet, marine biologists, Valley Water, University of Texas, Southwest, and Telemundo have come and talked to you guys about what they do. Today, we have another special guest. Today, my good old friend, Don Woodward, and he's a really good friend of mine. We basically grew up together. I've known Don for the last 30 years. He's been one of my best friends. Don Woodward is a principal engineer in Roku's Emerging Technologies Group here in San Jose. Some of you may also use some of his technology. Actually, I think all of you use some of his technologies. Don's primary job at Roku is to invent new things. He's gonna talk to you about this. Don lived in Mexico. He speaks Spanish, so he may use some Spanish in his presentation. He began his professional engineering career at Xerox. That's where I met Don. Don and I began our engineering careers together. He has worked at Macromedia, Replay TV, Motorola. We worked together again at Motorola, Adobe, and now he's at Roku. He's gonna be talking to you about the exciting world of inventing. Some of you are inventors, you just don't know it yet. He's gonna tell you what he does today, okay? Hey, Don, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
It is such an honor to have you with us today. And I'm sure that these little ones are gonna remember your talk today. Hey, just one last thing. Everyone, remember we only have one rule in Destination Space, and that is to be courteous to our presenters. So we all have to keep our mics muted, including myself. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing, and I'm going to mute my mic, just like all of you, so that Mr. Woodward can do his presentation. Take it away, Mr. Woodward.
Okay, thank you, Andres. And hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here, and I thank you for inviting me to come speak to you today. I'm really, really excited. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out by telling a story. The story starts when I was 13 years old. My father came home from work and he announced to the family that he had just taken a job in Mexico and we were going to move to Mexico City in 1 month. And so here's where I lived in Virginia, and the top right of that red line, and we're gonna go all the way down to Mexico City. And we're sitting around the dinner table and my father announces this, and I thought to myself, but I don't speak Spanish yet. And so I remember the day that we went to Mexico. It was a Saturday. We landed, it was Saturday night in Mexico City, and it was dark and it was raining. And we got in the car and we're driving from the airport, and there were so many lights everywhere. And I could see the raindrops falling and all the different colors of the lights lighting up the raindrops. And so many lights because Mexico City was the third largest city in the world, larger than San Jose, larger than Los Angeles, larger than Chicago, larger than New York. It was a large city. The next day was Sunday, and I woke up and I knew that, okay, well, I don't have to go to school today. I go to school on Monday, and well, we've just arrived in Mexico, so we hadn't found a church yet. So I had the day to myself. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go outside. And I walked down to this big street where there were these yellow buses going up and down the street. And I knew that bus fare was 3 pesos, and I had 6 pesos in my pocket. And so I got on one of those yellow buses, and I took my seat, and everyone was smiling and friendly. And I was looking out the window, and I saw a museum go by and a park go by, and I saw this funny sign. It said Chapultepec or something, but I know now it's Chapultepec. But it was a very strange word. It was Chapultepec. And I thought, that's a funny word. And I saw all the yellow buses, and I thought, well, this bus surely is going to go in a big circle, and I'll just get off again where I got on. That's how I'll get home. And then I was on the bus, and it kept going. And it went for 30 minutes. And then I went for another 30 minutes. And I went for another 30 minutes. And it's like, wow, this is a big, big city. And then we pulled into a bus depot. And there were buses everywhere, brown buses and green buses and orange buses and blue buses. And I was the only yellow bus. And the driver stopped, and everybody stood up all at once, and they got off the bus. Not me. I was going to take that bus home. And the driver, he said something to me, but I don't know what it was. And then he started waving his hands, and it was clear he wanted me to get off the bus. And I was like, well, I'll just sit here. It's okay. No, I had to get off the bus. And there were people everywhere. So many people, everyone smiling and loud because everyone was talking. And I'm looking around. I didn't see any yellow buses, but there was food. And this huge thing, it was chicharron. I didn't know what that was, but there was chili and there was lime, and that looked good. And I reached in my pocket and I looked, and I had 3 pesos. So I put my money back in my pocket because I needed to get back on a bus. And I didn't see any yellow buses. So I turned around, and my yellow bus was gone. And I thought, oh, what am I going to do? And that's a lot like inventing, see? Because I knew where I wanted to go. I wanted to go home. But I didn't know how to get there. And when you invent things, you know, you have your idea, you know what you want to do, but it's new. It's never been done. You're inventing it. So you kind of don't know how. So there I was. And I had to think, okay, I don't even know my phone number. What am I going to do? And I remembered that funny word. So I decided I was going to walk around. I was going to look at every bus. And I'm going to see if any bus said that funny word on it. And I must have looked at every bus in that place. And finally, I found this old brown bus, really old, not like the brand new shiny yellow bus I rode in. And I got on this bus. Well, I looked at the bus, and it had like a dirty window with the sign, and all I could see is CHAP. I was sure that had to be the word. So I got on the bus, and I sat down in the seat, and I looked at the floor. And there was a big crack in the floor all the way across the floor. And there were these 2 metal bars bolted to each end of the floor, holding the floor of the bus together. And I could see the ground through the crack in the bus. And I looked, and I said, well, that crack looks really old. And those metal bars look pretty old. They've been there a while, so they're probably not going to break today. And all of a sudden, the ground started moving under the bus. And then I realized, well, there's the bus that was moving. We were moving, and we got out onto the street, and the bus started rocking. And the front went this way, and the rear went that way. And I could see those bars kind of go like this. And I didn't look at those bars anymore. I looked out the window the rest of the trip. I was looking for my sign. And it was taking forever. And then I remembered, well, it took almost 2 hours to get here. I can't expect to see the sign in the first 10 minutes. So I was patiently waiting, and I was looking out the window, and the hours went by, and all of a sudden I saw the sign. And but the bus driver kept going, and the sign was going behind me. And so I ran up to the bus driver, and I didn't speak any Spanish, ni una palabrita, not even a word. but I had seen stop signs on my trip, and the stop signs all said alto. And I didn't know that alto also meant tall. And you really don't say alto when you're trying to tell someone to stop. But that was on the stop sign. So I went up to the driver and I go, alto, 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 alto. And he kind of looked at me like, And I made the motion that I wanted him to stop, and he said no. And then he pointed up. There was a cord above the windows on the ceiling of the bus, and he made a motion like this. And so, I don't know why I'd have to pull the cord to tell him I want to stop, because I had just told him, but okay, if that's what he wants. And I went back to my seat and I grabbed the cord. I went ding, 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 ding. And he kept going. And I could see him looking at me in his mirror, and I could see his face reflecting the mirror, and he was kind of laughing, and I'm like, oh, okay. And finally he stopped at a bus stop, and I ran out of that bus as fast as I could. And I turned around and I started walking back the direction we had come from. I had to find that sign. And I did find that sign. And it wasn't the same street that I got on the yellow bus on, but the neighborhood looked kind of the same kind of trees. So I started walking, and I stumbled upon my street, and I didn't recognize any of the houses because I was coming from a different direction, but I walked down the street and there it was. And I looked at my watch, 5 o'clock. I was gone from 8 in the morning to 5 o'clock. And I wondered, I hope I didn't miss dinner. And I walk up to the front door, and I open the front door, and there's my mom. Hi, honey, did you have a nice day? And I thought, oh, right, did I? And she said, good thing you came home right now, because we're just about to sit down to dinner. And I realized how hungry I was. And I also realized that I've had that same feeling of being at that bus depot and not knowing how to get where I wanted to go. Every time I had a new class, a new school year, every time I took a new job, every time I started a new project, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I know where I'm going to go. And so that's my bus story. And when Andres put together the slide that announced my talk, he wrote on the slide, and Don started inventing products in Mexico. And I thought to myself, I was 13 and 14 years old in Mexico, and I've known Andres for 30 years. Maybe once I mentioned to him that I invented something there. Let me think of what that might be. And I thought, and I thought, and I thought, and I said, aha, I know what I invented in Mexico. I invented myself. And then I went up to my parents, my mom and dad, and I said, Mom, Dad, I would like to have a computer. And my mom and dad said, oh, you would like to have a computer? Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get a job, and you're going to have to earn some money, and then you can buy your computer with your money. And I said, okay. And I got a job, and I loved Mexico, because here in the United States, you have to be 16 to get a job. But in Mexico, you could be 13 and get a job. And so I worked an hour here, an hour there after school, and it took me a whole year to save up for that computer. But I finally got my computer. It was an Apple II. And then I realized, hey, that's really similar to the story of getting the computer about going home on that bus. It just took a long time. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. But you know what I did? I persevered. And that's the name of the Mars rover we learned about, perseverance. And what perseverance means is it means that even if something's hard, you just keep going and keep going. I didn't know what I was going to do at that bus stop, that bus depot, but I had a word, and I needed to find a bus, and I needed to get on the bus, and I needed to find my sign, and I needed to get off the bus. And I didn't know I had to do all that, but I just took it a little bit of a time, and I persevered, just like I worked to buy that computer. Now, it turns out that I did actually invent something in Mexico. See, I have a little sister, and she was 9 years old. Her name's Michelle. And she used to come in my room a lot to talk to me. But when I got my computer, she didn't want to come in my room anymore, because she was I think she was afraid of the computer, and I didn't know why she'd be afraid of a computer. It was just a computer. So I wrote a computer program. What I did was I got a light sensor that I brought with me from Radio Shack. I brought it to Mexico, and the light sensor, it's kind of like a button on a game controller. But when you shine light on it, it's like you're pushing the button down, and when you take the light away or you interrupt the light, it's like lifting the button up. And so I put that light sensor right at the edge of my doorway in my room, and I ran wires all the way around the bottom of the wall to the back of my room to my desk, and I plugged those wires into the game port on my Apple II computer. And then I took a light from my desk and I put it on the other side of the door on the floor, and I shined it right at that light sensor, so it was like the button was always pushed down. And then I could walk across and break the light, and I could wrote a computer program that would detect when my sister Michelle came in my room, and it would welcome her into my room. Now, back in those days, computers sounded really funny when they talked. And so I'm going to tell you, I have that program now. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to run it, and you're going to hear what my sister heard when she was 9 years old, when she walked in my room in Mexico every time. And what the computer is saying, hello, Michelle. I am Don's computer. Welcome to Don's room. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so here's my Apple II. There it is. And let me just move this window out of the way. And I'm going to boot the Apple II. Okay, so the program I wrote is called Surprise. So I'm going to run Surprise. Let me get ready with my light. Okay. Okay, getting ready to start waiting for Michelle to enter room. Okay, detected Michelle. So that's what my sister heard every time she walked in my room in Mexico. And I guess you could say I invented that, because I did. Okay, so now, then there was a time when my dad came home from work and he said, guess what, kids? I took a job in Washington, D.C. We're going back to Virginia. And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave Mexico, but I had to. So I finished high school in Virginia, and then I went to college in San Diego, and then I got my first job, and that's where I met Andres. Now, I didn't invent anything in my first job. I mean, I wrote computer software, but I worked on a team. I was the new person, so I didn't really know what everyone else knew. And that company, Xerox, was full of inventors. They invented so much stuff. And so I got to learn from all these inventors. I was so lucky. And I realized that, hey, you know what? If there's somebody who has more experience than I do, I should learn from them. I should learn everything I can from them. And Xerox was really, really lucky. Lucky because I met Andres, and lucky because I got to work with all these inventors. Now, you're looking at me right now on your computer screen in a window. A window is that thing that you can move around and you can change the size of it. And you know, the inventor of a window on a computer was someone at Xerox. And they did it on this screen right here. Oh, it's heavy. Oh, this is a heavy. Can you see that screen? Oh, that was heavy screen. Oh my goodness. And they invented that. And you know what else they invented? They were the first company to ever put out a mouse. So here's the first mouse. Kind of funny looking, isn't it? But it was the first one. No one had seen a mouse before. No one knew what mouses should look like. So this is what it looked like. And I make a lot of mistakes sometimes when I'm on my computer. So I really like the undo function. I undo my mistakes. Well, guess who invented undo? Yep, Xerox. And here, there's even an undo button right on the keyboard. Doink, doink, doink. So I was lucky. Oh, one more thing. Used to be, computers were so big, they take up entire rooms, like in your cafeteria at school. And you couldn't take one home. It was too big. So everyone had to share. You only use it at work. And someone at Xerox thought, when no one else was thinking it, someday people are going to have their own computers. And no one believed that person because computers took up huge rooms. But that person did it, invented the personal computer. Oh, doesn't seem so personal now. But back then, that was small. So I was working at Xerox and I thought to myself, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to write apps. And apps, we didn't download apps in those days. We went into a store and we bought apps, like in a bookstore or Fry's. You know, they still sell games like Xbox and PS5 games that way, but computer software used to be like that. And this was the first one I ever did. It was for making web pages, websites. And very few people knew how to make websites in those days because there was no good software to make websites with. And so my boss had an idea. I said, I think we should make some software to make a website. Can you do it, Don? And I said, can I do it? I've never done it before. I think I can do it. I don't know how to do it. I understand what the goal is. I can do it, because I remembered that bus depot. And sure enough, I persevered. It was hard. It took a long time. I didn't know everything when I started, and I was pretty proud of myself when I finished because I made the software, because I persevered. And then my boss said, you know what? That's a really nice software that you wrote, but you know what I think we should do? We should hire some artists and we should make it look really, really pretty. And so we did. And we turned that product into Dreamweaver. So we got more people on it to make it look really, really great. And everybody loved Dreamweaver. In fact, this product, it's funny, I have another bus story. I was in downtown San Jose, First and Market Street. I was walking around. I was going to have lunch, and a bus goes by. And it has a big billboard on the side of the bus that says Computer History Museum, the history of the World Wide Web, and Dreamweaver. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm in a museum already. I wasn't sure how I felt about that, but it was kind of neat. And now Adobe owns Dreamweaver, and you can still buy it, and it's still what people use to make websites with. And one thing I learned, I used to give talks, like I'm giving a talk now today. I used to give talks on how to make websites with Dreamweaver, because, you know, I wrote it, I made it, and, you know, we had a lot of people on the team that helped with it. But I was the one who was giving the talks. And guess who came to the talks? Artists came to the talks. I didn't know why an artist would want to make a website. And after I finished my talk, there was a group of 4 or 5 artists that came up to me, and they were all together, and they were kind of all nervous. They wanted to talk to me, but they weren't sure, you know. And finally, one comes forward and says, "I want to thank you for saving us." And I said, "What?" Well, we used to work for magazine companies, and we used to do illustrations in the magazines, and nobody's buying magazines anymore because everyone has the internet, and we weren't sure how we were going to earn money and be able to have a house for our families and you know, buy food and stuff, and now we can. And I said, I did that. And I realized that even if you don't think you're helping other people, if you do good things in the world, you'll help other people. And I thought, well, if I help them, who helped me? And I thought, my boss. he said, Don, can you do it? And he knew I didn't know how when I started, but he had faith in me that I could do it. So I have him to thank for that. So I would encourage everybody to help other people and to also seek help from other people. And then good things will happen. So that was my first app. Then my boss said, I have a new idea. I'd like to fix television. And I said, well, what do you mean fix television? And in those days, you couldn't just watch a show whenever you wanted to. You had to watch a show at a certain time when the show came on. And you had to be there when it started or you'd miss it. And if you missed it, it wouldn't come around again for like 5 years, sometimes 10. This is a big, big problem, we thought. How can we fix it? So he said, well, I have an idea for a digital video recorder. And not only does it record all your shows, but you can pause live television. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is amazing. Because we used to have to wait for commercials if we wanted to get up and get a snack, make a sandwich. No, now we can just pause. But that was like the computers that were in a big room. And now you can have one in your hand. No one imagined that you could pause television. We're gonna put people on Mars. Well, people wrote about that in science fiction books, but that was a long way off, it seemed. It seemed like that was something marvelous, and I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. Well, it's going to happen, thanks to people like Andres and all of his colleagues at NASA. And you guys, too, when you finish school and you go to college and then you get a job at NASA. You can do that, too. But pausing TV, boy, I thought that was spectacular. I really want to do that. So I quit my job of writing apps, and I started a new job, and I had no idea how I was going to do it. I was back at the bus depot, and I remember talking to my friends saying, I'm writing something that's going to pause television. And so that you can, if you want to make a sandwich, you can just hit pause and get up and go get your snack anytime you want. And they said, well, isn't my neighbor going to be mad at me? I was like, why? Because he's not ready to pause. Because there was always ever one show that was all the same time. And so if you pause one, are you pausing them all? That's what people thought. They didn't realize you could have your own pause. So that was super, super fun, super fun. But I'll tell you what was even funner about that. Let's see, I gotta find my picture here. There it is, the channel guide. So you've probably seen the channel guide before. When you press the channel guide button on the remote, it shows you what channels you have and what the time is and what shows are on. And you can see there's a red record dot there on one of those shows called Antiques Roadshow. And that means it's going to record that show when it comes on. And I had an idea. I thought, what if on Valentine's Day, I changed for everyone all the red record dots into hearts? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I can even draw a heart, you know, I can program computers, but I really am not very good at drawing. And so I had to get my friend Doug, who's an artist, and I said, hey, Doug, I'm going to let you in on my idea. Can you draw me some hearts? And he drew the best hearts. Oh, he drew some good hearts. And so I put the hearts in. Now, Valentine's Day had just happened. It was now March. I had to wait a whole year for Valentine's Day to come around to see that those dots change to hearts. And I wanted to keep that secret because I wanted it to be a surprise for everyone. And that was one of the hardest secrets I ever had to keep because I just wanted to tell everyone about those hearts. And then Valentine's Day came around and everybody woke up on Valentine's Day across the country. And when they brought up their channel guide, they saw their dots were all hearts. And the internet went ablaze in the forums. Everyone was talking about Replay TV loves us. it put hearts on my channel guide. And I thought, gosh, a simple thing like that makes so many people happy. And, you know, here I am, just a guy inventing stuff, writing software, and I can just do silly things like that and make people happy. And you can too. And so that's my favorite thing about this job, was I put hearts on a channel guide. Okay, then now, this is heavy. This is the first DVR. This is the replay TV. Oh, that's heavy. It's heavy, heavy. And as time goes on, technology gets better. So then I went to Roku, where I am now. And we made a high definition one, media player, it streams. And the replay was just standard definition. This is high definition. And look, it's a lot smaller. Lot smaller. And then my boss said, well, we've done some television things, but the iPod has just come out. And now everyone can walk around with their music in their hands wherever they go and their earbuds. But there's no real way to play your music in your house. So you have all your MP3s, your music library, you have it on your computer, but you know, how do you play it on your stereo? So he had this idea for something called a sound bridge. It's a music player. Oops, it's saying IP address. Excuse me while I look for the remote. And he said, you know, we should make it work just like the iPod, but it should have a gigantic screen that you can see across the room. And you should be able to play internet radio stations on it, and it'd be great. And so we made it, and it was great. It was really fun. But then I thought, that sure is a big screen, isn't it? What can I do with that screen? Let's see, I want to figure out how to move these windows around on my computer screen here, because I want to show you something that we did with that big screen. I thought, okay, what if you could use the screen for school projects? You wanted to make a sign for your project. And so what if I let people connect to that screen and draw on the screen? Well, I'm having trouble connecting to it. But what I did was I made a sketch program that you could draw circles, and you could draw squares, and you could draw lines, and you could put your name on it, and you could slide everything around. And then schools would get it, and then students could then put whatever they wanted on that screen. And that wasn't a music player. That was an invention. I thought of it and I just did it. And so that was pretty neat. Now, not all inventions look so great when they start out. I mean, this is, where to go? Here it is. This is one of the newer Roku units. It's not the newest one, but look how small it is. Look how light it is. It's really quite a difference between this one, don't you think? And it's way more powerful, and it has more shows and everything. And it looks really nice. But when we invent stuff, oftentimes it doesn't start out looking nice. So here's one I'm working on now. It's a speaker, and you can see it's on a piece of wood. So I got to go in my garage, and I got to get out my drill and my saw, and it's not something I do in front of the computer when I'm working normally at my job, but it's something I thought was fun. So a lot of this stuff that starts out as products inventions starts out in someone's garage, where they just make it out of whatever material they have at hand. And you guys can do that too. So that's what I wanted to share with you about inventing stuff. And I think that, you know, every day when I think about, oh, I know what I want to do, but I'm not quite sure how, I know I can, because I persevere. And it's really important to just, when you start something, just keep going. Even if it looks like it's hard work and I don't know if I'm going to finish it ever, and keep going and you'll get there. And I found that to be true. And I wanted you guys to know that too. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share today. And I'd be happy if anyone has any questions. I'd love to answer them.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Wow, that was such an amazing, amazing story. So it looks like while we're waiting for folks to get their questions in, I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Woodward. Like, that was an amazing story and such an inspiration for these little kids to, start inventing at such a young age. So it looks like Antonio from Miss Muller's class has his hand up. So if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
I was gonna say that, you know how you can make stuff out of stuff? My brother Emilio, when he was young or when he was a little bit bigger, he made an incubator.
Oh, he made an incubator like for baby chicks?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's great that he made that.
He made it, like, I think when he was a kid or a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Maybe he could show you how to make one too. Do you want to have chickens again?
Yeah, but a lot of times, something like at night, when like we're sleeping, we keep hearing like the chickens scared and running, and we come out every single night, but we only see like one of the chickens like dead, like something killed it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have to put like a little bit bigger fences. That way it doesn't have to kill our chickens. But there was like a little farm chicken area that they can sleep in.
Yeah.
And they had a few eggs.
Mm.
Eggs had babies and other stuff. It was pretty cute.
Okay, thanks. That's wonderful. Okay, who's next?
What about Liliana from Miss Brophy's class? She's had her hand up.
Mhm. Oh, Liliana, I can't really hear you. I have very faint.
Oh.
I have an idea. You could hold your microphone up and maybe it would be louder.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard how many something. Let's see.
Okay, sorry, Liliana. Can you type it in the chat and we'll ask him. We'll ask Mr. Woodward. Danielle, let's go to someone else.
Okay, what about Alexander, also from Miss Muller's class?
Go ahead and unmute Alexander. Okay.
So, how did you feel when you got your new computer, and how does the ones and zero coding work on computers and
Okay.
electronics?
Okay, so I got the first part. How did I feel when I got my computer? I felt really good because I knew I had worked for it. And I discovered that when you work hard for something, you really appreciate it. And I really used that computer a lot, and I learned a lot of stuff on it. Now you had a question about how they work. What?
Yeah, I had a question about the 1 and 0 language, because I'm pretty sure that's the language of computers and electronics, like iPads.
Oh, okay. So you want to know what computer language I used on that computer?
Yeah,
that-
I've heard of the 1 and 0 language, but I want to know how the 1 and 0 language works.
Well, I use a lot of computer languages now, but back then I was using BASIC, which stands for Beginner's All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code, which is a fancy name of saying this language is supposed to be easy.
Wow, thank you. Let's
Okay, so Liliana, we were able to get her question. She wanted to know, how many apps have you made?
Oh, well, let's see. It depends how you count them. So like on Replay TV, there was the Channel Guide app and the Replay Guide app and the Setup app. There were a bunch of apps. So I kind of don't count them that way, but you can if you want. I've made really just these two apps here are the apps that I've made that have been like that. And then I made the app in here that plays the music. And I made several apps inside this one that gives you the main screen when it comes up, and it lets you select videos to play, and it lets you play music. So I made all those apps too.
thank you. Let's see, Miss Moeller, go ahead, unmute yourself. How you doing? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you. Hey, Mr. Woodward, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for coming. And I also wanted to say thank you for talking about some of the uncomfortable feelings. Sometimes, whether you're a child or an adult and you don't know exactly where the end is, or how you know the end, but you don't know the direction, it's easy to freeze or just give up altogether. And I really appreciate the fact that you used language and talked about things like persevering and feeling uncomfortable with sometimes not knowing the direction and having to take a chance and having to take a risk and having to follow through and try again. So I just want to say thank you. What a privilege to get to hear from you today. And again, the kids on different levels at some point in their lives will understand the impressions that we've had from different talks that Mr. and Mrs. Martinez have put together. Thank you so much. That's just all I'd like to say.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Doug, let's do one last question.
Let's see. Oh, we have so many questions. Chevelle, we haven't heard. You've had your hand up. Can you tell us your question?
So where's your sister now, and what do you do now in 2021? And do you make Xboxes actually? When I heard you say Xboxes, I was really interested because my dad has an Xbox. That is us.
Oh, well, my sister works at a public high school in Virginia. She's a guidance counselor. And what I do now is I work at Roku and I'm still inventing stuff, having a lot of fun. And I don't work on the Xbox. Once upon a time, I did write some software for the Xbox. It wasn't an app. It was software that went out on the internet and got information to the Xbox. It was something that Microsoft wanted, so I made it for them.
All right. Thanks everyone for these your amazing questions. Thank you, Don Woodward. This was a very special talk for these little ones. I know that we have a few inventors in this crowd. I know that we have at least 5 astronauts, at least 10 or 15 NASA scientists and engineers. But remember the words of Mr. Woodward, perseverance, right? That is the name of our rover, our Mars rover.
Yeah.
And another one that we didn't mention was ingenuity. Mr. Woodward is a shining example of ingenuity. He's clever, he's inventive, right? Ingenuity is a name. Who remembers ingenuity? It's part of Mars 2020. right? That's our Mars helicopter. And since the chief engineer for the Ingenuity or the Mars helicopter came here and spoke to you guys about his work, the Mars helicopter Ingenuity has flown 3 times already. 3 times. First time ever that another vehicle, in this case a helicopter, flies in another planet. So that made history. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update there. So the chief engineer that came and spoke to you guys, he is going to be in the history books. But today, Mr. Woodward is a shining example of ingenuity. I'm really proud to call him my friend. Thank you, Don, for being with us. Remember that at this point, we're going to take a photo with our special guest. So those of you that have your camera open, look straight at me, look straight at your camera. Give us a big smile so that we can take a photo with Mr. Don Woodward. Ready? 1, 2. All right, 3. Okay, now give me 1 second to see how that came out. All right, that is perfect. All right, Mr. Don Woodward, thank you very much. Now let me just make a little, let me make a little plug for tomorrow's presentation. So today we had my good friend Don Woodward, an inventor. He told us about the things, some of the things that he's invented. He has a really long list, but we only had a few minutes, so he touched on some only. Tomorrow we're gonna have another special guest. We're gonna have Miss Trish Damkruger. She is the Vice President and General Manager of the High Performance Computing Organization at Intel. She manages the supercomputers at Intel. She's gonna come in and talk to us about enriching the lives of every person in this planet. Okay, she's going to talk about how her computers help us. And then on Thursday, we have another marine biologist. She's going to come and talk to us about how she explores the ocean using these robots. Okay, another special guest. So now let me pause again right here and remind all of you why we're doing this. We're doing this because you're special. Okay, and don't forget that. But you have to persevere. You have to do your homework. Did everybody do their homework? Yesterday's homework? All right, very good. Did everybody finish their classwork today? And you're all paying attention to your teacher and everyone at school? Okay, you have to do that. Okay, because remember, in elementary, that's probably the hardest part. When you're in elementary, you're developing these good habits, these good work habits that you're gonna need for the rest of your lives. Because then if you do that, that is the formula to success. If you do that in middle school is going to be a piece of cake. Okay. And then high school is going to be even a sweeter piece of cake. And then when you get to college, and all of you are going to go to college, because in order to work at Roku, in order to come and work at NASA, you have to go to college. Okay. No excuses. So when you get to college, you can come and work with us as interns. All right. And you're going to find out when you're in the university that everything you've learned in elementary, middle school, and high school, they've already taught that to you already. Okay, so just like you're going to be going through a lot of the same thing. But now it's going to be more focused on your professional career goals. So remember some of the words that you heard today: perseverance. It's okay not to know how to get there. Okay. But you need to be focused and know where you need to go, okay? And start developing those skills. All right, so we're gonna end it here. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time, the same link. Just click on that link at the same time. And tomorrow we're gonna have another special guest. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good day, stay safe. Thank you, Mr. Woodward.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Hey, and how about that helicopter, huh? That was exciting. I saw that on the
Yeah.
news, right? This
Yeah.
went farther than they were even expecting. My students and I watched that. We showed the video yesterday. We got the astronauts up in space. You guys, this is so fantastic. And what a perfect time, right? I mean, thank you. Awesome.
You're
Same time,
welcome.
same channel
everyone.
tomorrow, guys.
We'll see you
See
tomorrow.
you tomorrow.